As children, we all heard urban legends. I remember they said our local scoutmaster was a child molester. Well, some of us learned the hard way it was absolutely true. That was a terrible joke. I'm so sorry. Here are some urban legends. In the small Virginia town of Clifton, there was once a notorious mental asylum. Not just insane, but dangerously insane criminals were kept at the asylum. But in 1904, when the asylum was shut down, many of the inmates escaped. All but one inmate was soon recaptured. The last missing inmate came to be known as the Bunny Man, as he would kill and skin rabbits and leave them hanging from local trees. He was never found, but assumed dead after a few years. However, about a decade later, a local man was found dead hanging from a tree, skinned just like the rabbits. Rumors spread that a man wielding an axe and wearing a rabbit's costume would attack anyone who walks under a nearby bridge at night. Along Canada's Dungarvan River was once a lumber camp. Vcam Boss was alone with a young boy working there, as other workers were out gathering wood. He murdered the boy, cooked and ate him. He told other workers the boy had mysteriously disappeared, possibly ran away. That night the camp were awoken by the sound of ghostly screams. The screaming continued until all workers abandoned the camp in fear. It was long ago, but the boy's vengeful ghost still haunts the river. Go there today and you'll hear his scream echoing through nearby valleys. It's said a Japanese woman was once mutilated by her samurai husband. He slashed her across the face and abandoned her. This story goes back to the 1700s. In the 1970s, her deranged ghost started appearing in Japan. Encounters told the same story. When walking alone, a woman would approach them wearing a surgical mask and ask them one simple question: "Am I pretty?" If you say no, she will stab you in the throat with a pair of scissors. If you say yes, she will remove the mask to show her wounded mouth and then suddenly run away. You will think yourself safe, but on arriving at your home, she will reappear and slash you across the throat. In the Soviet Union, it was said a black Volga was driven around Russian cities at night. The mysterious car would be used to abduct children who would never be seen again. It was said to be driven by the devil, and he would take the children back to hell. In some versions, it was driven by Soviet officials, who would kidnap children so their blood could be used in satanic rituals. It's easy to see where these legends came from. Soviet secret police would drive black cars and abduct people in the dark of night. The New York City subway stretches 232 miles. Hidden deep in the old vaults and tunnels are a number of abandoned areas. Most are disused stations, but some are just huge, open, dark spaces. It's said a strange cult occupy these areas. Many claim to have encountered this cult. You could meet them also, but I must warn you, they are not like other humans, with freakish physical deformities, and you wouldn't want to meet them as they never forget a person. It's said that if and when you have a child, they will come for it on a dark night, abduct them, and disappear back into the subway. There was once a Thai soldier who came home after a year of service. His wife was pregnant when he left, and so he was able to meet his child for the first time. The three of them lived together for the next few months and everything seemed fine, but he eventually realized they were not his wife and child. Both had died during childbirth while he was away, and what he thought were his wife and child were actually their ghosts. Horrified by what had happened, he commits suicide in a nearby river. There are strange human-like creatures known as Melonheads. It's said they live in wooded areas of Michigan and Ohio. The story tells they were children living in an insane asylum, and after suffering abuse at the hands of experimental doctors, were released into the woodlands surrounding the asylum, and now, deformed both by their genetic mutations and by the experiments performed on them, they survive by hunting small animals and only moving on dark nights. But being protective of their forests, they stalk people who walk near them alone, and on occasion they attack. In the 1980s, rumors emerged that the Soviet Union had discovered a gateway to hell. It was said Russian engineers were drilling in Siberia, and on their deepest, most ambitious drill, they broke through into the underworld. News of this soon spread to the west. News that demonic forces had escaped from the hole and dragged nearby workers back to hell with them. Some said Satan himself had emerged from the well and killed 13 workers. There was once an innocent schoolgirl in Japan. On one occasion, she was at a train station when an insect was put on her shoulder. Reacting to this, she fell below a train and was cut in half. It's said her vengeful ghost is now known to walk Japanese streets at night. And when I say walk, she drags herself along with her arms while concealing some kind of blade. Anyone not fast enough to escape will be sliced in half with this blade, so they can be just like her. If she approaches you, you will first hear the scratching of her blade on the ground, but before you realize and turn around, you'll be dead. The BlackEyed Children is an urban legend increasing in popularity. The stories are generally the same. You're awoken on a dark night by the sound of knocking at your front door. You open it to see two young children looking down, avoiding eye contact. They ask if they can come inside for shelter, and not wanting to turn away two vulnerable children, you welcome them inside. Only once inside will the children make eye contact with you, and you realize they are not like other children. Their eyes completely black, pitch black as an infinite void, and before you realize how lost in their eyes you've become, you'll drop dead.